the show. I'm so glad you're here. Today we have a special guest, Donna Ogden. She is the Director of Academy Giving and Community Engagement at Great Hearts Texas Network. It's a charter school of about 800 students. Donna's really going to share about how they primarily use Facebook to celebrate their school. She's going to walk through kind of their transition from mainly announcement type things to really celebrating what's happening. She's had some great success with some staff features. And then she even dives into some of the things that have been really most engaging. I think you'll love some of her struggles and tips, because I'm betting it is going to help you. So I'm really excited for you to listen to today's guest. Now, Donna went through our social media boot camp program this last summer and really gained a lot of useful tips and tricks and strategies that work for K-12 schools. They work for public, for charter, for private, for independent schools. And I am happy to announce that social media bootcamp program has actually been rolled in to my membership group. So if you are part of my membership group, we're actually going through some of these social media basics right now. We do trainings every week in my membership group. It's really a community of people who are telling stories on behalf of their schools. And if that's you and you are looking for more support as you go into another new year, 2023 is right around the corner. This community might be what you need to feel the support, the love, and the inspiration to continue to celebrate your school on social media. Because guys, social media, it's always changing. And we really give you what's working best. And best of all, we give you that community. So if you're listening in and listening to what Donna has to say and some of the things she's learned through our program, you can learn them too. You can get signed up. Just check it out, socialschoolforedu.com. And now let's get into today's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip comes straight out of a question that was asked on our Facebook group in our membership program. They said, is Twitter really worth it? Like, we've been doing it for years and we do not have a strong following. Definitely depends where you're at. Twitter, we've been doing Twitter in some cases for nearly 9 years, and we have a couple hundred followers. Whereas on a Facebook page, we might have 3,000 followers. So there definitely is a difference in following. And I'm just going to tell you, if you are a one-person shop, or you're not even really a communications person, but you're doing social media and you don't have a lot of engagement on certain platforms, it may be time to think, hey, maybe this isn't worth it. Now, Twitter can be a great place for news, sports updates, things like that. So you might not want to totally write it off because it does have its purpose. But if you are feeling strapped and you're like, I just don't think I can do this anymore, one tip is that you could keep your page active, but just put out a tweet and pin it to the top that says, hey, we're currently celebrating our school over on Facebook and Instagram. Here are the channels, and you can actually link the URL to go right to those channels. And just that way, you still have a presence. You could come back to it anytime. But in the meantime, if somebody comes upon your Twitter page and you're like, hey, the last post is from 2018, they would see that pinned post that says, hey, we're actively celebrating our school over on these other channels. And you guys, most of the time, your audience, your community, they will go to where you are sharing your story. We do want to try to meet them where they're at. I love Facebook. I love Instagram. But if Twitter just isn't it, I'm just giving you your permission that maybe it's time to say, okay, I'm not going to focus my time on that. I will link them over to the places where we are active, and I'm going to feel good about myself. Okay. So that is totally fine. You could also get help with Twitter. Maybe you turn Twitter over to athletics only, and that's what you try to promote. And maybe you've got a great athletic director or an athletic director assistant or something that could do some of those sports things. But just telling you, if Twitter's not where it's at, that is a solution. All right, let's get into today's interview with Donna Ogden. Hello, Donna. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so good to see you again. Donna Ogden, she is the Director of Academy Giving and Community Engagement at Great Hearts Texas Network. So can you kind of share some of your background and then talk about your role there?
Yeah, so my background is actually in, um, I started out straight out of college at a private classical school and was there. I taught for about 10 years. And then when my kids came along, I realized I did not have it in me to teach anymore. But I still like working at schools and I still love classical education. So I moved over to the administrative development side at that school. And then you know, couple of a year or two into that, then I, had another kid, left, all that kind of stuff. So when Great Hearts moved in, so Great Hearts is it's a charter school, and when they came to the Fort Worth area, they are a public charter school that teaches the classical method. And so for me, that was just kind of the perfect fit, because classical education tends to be a private school thing. And when I quit working there, I quit getting tuition discounts. So public school was a much more viable option for my family. So yeah, anyway, I had originally enrolled my kids in there, and they were all set. They made it through the waitlist process. And then I saw that there was this job opening for Director of Academic Giving. And so what that position is this kids at Great Hearts don't do any kind of fundraising. They don't sell anything, or nothing like that. And so instead, what all Great Hearts Academies have is called the Community Investment Campaign. And we ask all of our families to thoughtfully donate whatever they can to help fill the gap between what the charter school receives and what our budget requires. And so that's my position. That's the primary goal of my position. And second, and tied into that, is the community engagement piece. So I do, all of our newsletters, I do the social media. I have a couple of events throughout the year that are just, like I kind of spearhead. And yeah, and so for me, that position is a really good fit because I get to be around the classical education, I get to be around the kids, but I am not in a classroom anymore, and I can shut my office door. So
Get some time to
yeah,
yourself before you go back to your
yeah,
own kids.
yeah. So it's great.
Okay, so it's a public charter school, and about how
Mhm.
many students are there, Donna?
We have, so we are, I want to say 800
Okay,
students. So eventually we will be K through 12. We started at K through 5, and we're just adding on a grade
every
every
year.
year.
Okay,
Mhm.
and how many years has it been?
We opened in 2019.
Okay,
So we have seventh graders now.
okay.
Um,
So basically adding more and more students every year then because you're
mhm.
adding those classes. That's awesome. So many people can relate. It's just helpful when we look at grades. Now, obviously, social media might be impacted a little bit in regards to following and how you're telling your stories just because you haven't hit high school yet. But
Yeah.
you did say social media fits into your role. So,
Mhm.
what social media channels do you run, and kind of how do you get content? Help me out with that.
Yeah, so we only commit to Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
The real commitment is with Facebook, Instagram, like I learned through your program. If the photo is really powerful, then I automatically just share that over to Instagram. Um, but really the commitment is to Facebook because that's where we have the biggest following. Um, and so it ties, in the beginning, we were not using our Facebook. We weren't using any of it very well. We were doing like announcements and picture days coming up and things like that. And so this past year, and we opened up in the middle of the pandemic. And so, we were trying to get information out as any way we can. So anyway, so when this past year, after some feedback from families, we're really honed into, all the information stuff is going to be in the direct communication. We do a weekly newsletter. And then all of the fun stuff is going to be on Facebook. And so that, before I took your program, I was just kind of like, hey, Mrs. So and so, do you have anything fun going on this week? Oh, that kid's cute. Like, not not a very reliable system. And also just, it just was one of those things that just kept getting pushed down on my to-do list. And then next thing you know, 3 weeks have gone by and you haven't posted anything. So that, so it fits in my role, obviously, with the community engagement piece, right? To keeping, I think we do a really good job of taking care of the kids on campus. I think we really shine there, helping them feel involved. Where we definitely have some room to grow is getting the outside community in, helping the parents feel more connected to what's going on in the classroom. And so that's how we use the social media. And, for a fundraising role, you're not gonna give money to a place where you feel like you don't know what's going on, right? So it does, and it's not, I feel like that's kind of a little bit jaded, and I don't mean it that way. I just like, we want to show them what we're already doing on the campus.
Yeah.
This is why you should give, because we're already doing this. And when you give, you're supporting these things that are already happening. They're going to happen regardless if you're giving. But,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
It
sure if I can answer that question.
Yeah, it matches up pretty closely with, public schools needing to go, and I know you're a public charter school, but when you need to go for like a referendum or a bond
Right.
question, and all of a sudden you see all this stuff on social media, it's like, no,
Yeah.
you got to be showcasing what learning looks like and what your kids are experiencing all year long.
Yeah.
And then when that comes up to make the ask, you can do that. I think you made a good a distinction of, at first you were just using Facebook for like everything and announcements and all of that, and now you really stick to a weekly newsletter for those informational things that parents need to know, because of the algorithm. You never know if people are going to see stuff on
Right.
Facebook or not. And then now you really focus on the fun stuff. You this summer went through our social media boot camp program, which now is part of our membership group. We're doing the training actually right inside of there, which is awesome. But you said before, you kind of like just, oh, I'm going to ask this teacher for a picture. What's your system now so that you're kind of continually getting content from your staff? How has that changed?
So we, excuse me, following your guidance, we, set up the social media, a separate social media account that I have access to, and a couple other people in admin have access to, which apparently already existed. Nobody told me. They didn't have to set up anything. They just added me to it.
Okay, so
Where has this been?
Yeah, that's the social media email address. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently all the schools have it. I didn't know that. So during teacher orientation, I got up, kind of introduced myself and said, hey, especially for our existing teachers, this is how we're going to do things differently. And so shared that address with them, and really just, excuse me, really kind of talk them through, the kinds of things they were looking for. Because like you said in the program, if you tell a teacher like, hey, share what's going on in the classroom, their first thing's like, well, we're not really doing anything. We're not doing anything fun. Well, we had a science experiment last week, but I'm not, and so I just told them, I was like, look, there are 30 kids in that classroom and there are 2 of you. And the fact that you're not tied up in a corner by lunchtime is pretty amazing. So just show me what's happening. Right. So, so that's kind of how I started that. And then I just bribed them. The first teacher to send me some photos of them getting ready for their class back in August, I got them crumble cookie. And so hopefully that got the ball rolling. I do get stuff now weekly, which is good. And so when we do our weekly newsletter, we we link the classroom newsletter or the grade level newsletter in those. So I actually see, as I'm building that newsletter every week, I see what's coming up. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I saw in third grade, they're doing their first Socratic seminar, which I went to a classical college. So that's like all I did. That was my education, was Socratic seminar. So I was very excited. My daughter's in third grade. So I made sure, reached out to those teachers. Hey, I saw your first seminars coming up. I'm going to come in and take pictures. Is that okay? My headmaster told me that I could not creep on my daughter and stay during the whole class because that would make her nervous. I was really like, I blocked off the 45 minutes on my calendar. And she was like, no, you get 10 minutes and then you have to leave. So that was really fun to be able to, to be able to see that and get some really good images of that. So that's how to answer your question, that's how I manage that. So even if I'm not getting a lot of things from them, I have not access to their lesson plans, but I see what's coming up in the week. Sure. And can reach out and just say, hey, I'm going to be here, blah, 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 just so you know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I'm coming in your classroom for social media information, what is the word? Material. There we go. So that's how I manage that. And we commit to 3 posts a week at minimum. And yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you mentioned when we were kind of talking about this podcast that your audience really loves your staff features. So can you share what you do for staff features and how you manage all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I did it the Gribble way. So I made a Google form, with some pretty basic questions, sent that out, and I got, a pretty good response, probably about, 50% of teachers responded pretty quickly. They're still kind of trickling in. And, just from that form, I literally just like copy paste, and then I just kind of massage the information they give me. I make sure and get, I try to get 2 good photos. Sometimes I like have a photo of a teacher that I add to the photo that they submit in the form. And yeah, we just we had a lot of staff, and that was kind of a concern. Honestly, in the beginning of the year, we had a little bit of turnover. And I was like, let's just address it. Yeah, they're new. We have new people, and here they are. So instead of like, oh, that person's new, oh, she left and this is the new teacher, like, let's just put it out there. And I think our communities responded well to that. And it wasn't like, it wasn't like we were hiding anything or, trying to get, oh no, we've had turnover. I mean, every school has that. And so anyway, so yeah, they really enjoyed the staff features. The things you learn about, the things that these teachers include, you just never would have known. One guy, he's just like a self-professed coffee snob. Just little things like that. And just, me being admin, I don't get to go out and talk to these people necessarily, right? Because we're all working in the front office. So just as a fellow employee, it was nice to just to get to know these people a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, there's connection, just within your own employee staff morale that they get to know, and then those connections with the parents or the students, getting to know them besides, hey, they're my 3rd grade teacher, but those little pieces. And so you just track it through that Google form. They submit a photo, you might add a picture. Do you do those on a regular basis? Like, do you try to do one once a week, or how do you do it?
I do try in the beginning, because we didn't have, in the beginning of the year, we did not have the no photo list for the students ready yet. So I did not feel comfortable taking pictures of them. And, nobody wants to see the back of a kid's head, right? They're just not fun. And so I was doing staff features like 3 times a week.
Okay.
It's tapered off a little bit. So yeah, I do try to now I'm trying to do at least 1 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
But because we have just more content of the kids, I'm just kind of sprinkling them in as we go along. But yeah, in the beginning, they were just really, was really staff feature heavy because we just didn't have, I didn't feel comfortable sharing pictures of the kids yet. But we'd never done them like that before, so I used your templates, and it looked really cute, and I made a distinction between a new staff member and an existing staff feature, or staff spotlight, I think I called it. So I think that helped parents, especially like our new kindergarten parents. This is a new person, this person's been here a while. Anyway, it was fun, it was nice to see. And
Yeah. Well, we're going to link your page in the show notes so folks will be able to take a look and see what you're sharing. But I think those staff features really, they usually end up adding new followers to your page, and
yeah.
it's just really engaging content. What other content have your followers kind of been engaging with on your page? What do they like to see? Because engagement is like the magic wand,
Mhm.
if per se, if the more likes and comments and shares you get, the better, especially that you guys focus on Facebook. So do you have any content that's working well for you right now?
It's kind of we've been doing some very silly reels.
Okay.
Just real banana stuff, like that gets a lot of interaction. Let's see. So the reels people enjoy.
Yeah.
And then we have North Texas Giving Day here, which is it's like 18 hours, a giving event. It's sponsored by a foundation. So a lot of the nonprofits in North Texas participate in that, and it's very social media heavy. And so what I did on that day was like, a mom had come through and taken some really great photos of staff just individually in the hallways and stuff. And so I posted those like one an hour just on that day. And it was like, Mr. Norville, when Mr. Norville reads to his kids, he does a different voice for every character. When you support community investment, you're supporting Mr. Norville, things like that. The one for our receptionist was like crazy. I mean, and it was just a picture of her face, and something like, just something very simple, like Mrs. Woodruff takes care of all of us, which is the truth. I mean, it was just like, we love Miss Karen, we love this, she's the heart and soul. So that was really, I don't think I've had anything that matched up to that since.
And that's so key, because some of those staff members, like, everybody knows them.
Yeah.
In a given year, only so many students have a second grade teacher or whatever.
Right.
But some of those faces are known by so many folks that that's awesome. And then I'm sure that helped with your giving campaign as well. So that's really key. So
Yeah.
with the reels that you've done, just some silly things with, that's Facebook reels, or is it Instagram reels, or
I mean, they're Instagram reels, but I always link them to the Facebook, so they're on Facebook as well.
Okay.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah,
they do show up on the Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, right now there's some pages I think they're rolling out where you're automatically able to post them on both. But my pages you can't, although they say it's coming. They can be suggested over on Facebook. But we have links to both, and so it's going to be really easy to spot some of those reels on your Instagram page, which for us has really dramatically impacted the reach that we can have with Facebook. Maybe not all in your area, right? But
right.
Kids excited and things like that. And so that's awesome that has worked well. What is your biggest struggle when it comes to social media?
My biggest struggle is the consistency, is staying consistent. If I don't get it done in the beginning of the week, it sometimes does not, it's a mad dash towards the end of the week. And I don't like that, because I like to spend, teachers will send me, hey, we did the experiment with the carnation flower and the colored water, and that's all they'll send me. And so, I don't, which is great. And I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative. So much better than last year. So I don't want to like bother them again for, hey, could you add some more detail to this? So I like to do that. And I just enjoy doing it. Um, but sometimes a post can take up to 10 minutes working on that copy, right? Um, and so if I don't schedule that time, even if I don't get the post done like on a Monday, if I don't schedule the time to have, on Tuesday at this time, this is when you're working on this. That is like my biggest struggle. And because I just don't like throwing things up there. I want it to be, I want it to be quality, right? Our campus, we're, like I said, we're K-7. We're currently building our upper school building. It'll be opened should be open, August next year, this coming August. It's a tight fit right now, right? It is really snug. And we don't have a lot of parents on campus. So they don't get to see what the kids do. So I don't just like throwing up just a random photo. And I really like to spend some time crafting the message of what that post says, and letting them get a glimpse into the classroom. What is it that you're looking at, right? Why are these kids sitting around in a circle? Well, in a Socratic dialogue, eye contact is a really important thing. You have to address your comments not to the teacher, but you're addressing it to all of your classmates. And so we sit in a circle to facilitate that, things like that. So my biggest struggle is consistency.
Yeah.
Staying on top of those things.
Yeah. I think many of the people listening will be like, yes, I get it. Because I mean, frankly, there's people knocking at your door and, all of these other things that come up that maybe seem more urgent. And in some cases they are, but you have to prioritize, set
Yeah.
that time aside. I like that. And then do you have, your favorite social media tip that you would have to share with others?
I mean, I guess, I talked about this, in your program too, just, I'm a little bit of a control freak and I like things to be perfect. And you know what? They're not going to be perfect. The photo is not going to be perfect. Even if you get the kid to smile, they're going to have that weird, like, smile, they had, right? Post it anyways, crop it as best you can. Just, it doesn't have to be perfect to be good, I guess is what I keep telling myself when I have, photos that aren't great because somebody else took them. Not that mine are all that great anyway, but I think you know what I mean there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being consistent is better than waiting for that spectacular, super great photo, super great lesson that they learned. I think that's just like you say, you're showing up every day, right? Showing up in their feed every day. Yeah, so it doesn't, I guess that's my biggest tip, is it doesn't have to be perfect to be good.
Yeah. I love that. I love that tip because I think you're listening to a lot of folks that like to have that perfection, mentality. And it's just like, we need to tell the story, just like you started with, people just want to see what it's like to go to school there,
Yeah.
and what you're learning and all of that. And so the photo doesn't have to be perfect. But I also think the storytelling that goes along with it is so important.
Mhm.
That's going to take years to develop and,
Right.
nurture through your staff. But you're starting to take those steps. So it's really exciting. So you guys can check out Donna's pages. We've linked those in the show notes. What's the best way to stay connected to you, Donna? Is there a way that people could reach out?
Yeah, really just my email, my work email
Okay.
would probably be the easiest.
All right. And what is that? If you just want to read that, I'll
Yeah.
put it in the show notes too.
It is Donna.Ogden at greatheartslakeside.org.
Okay.
Great
Hearts
Hearts
Lake
Lakeside
dot
.org.
org. Okay.
Kind
Awesome.
of a
Well,
mouthful.
yes. And that's okay. Um, well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and very excited for the growth and the continued celebration of all the great things that you have going on there in your school. You guys, there's probably some other charter schools that are listening, which is great. I'm trying to make a concerted effort to get all types of schools
Yeah.
here on the podcast so that we can get some different perspectives and stories, which is always so great. So thanks for joining us today.
Oh yeah. Well, I am so appreciative of your course. It has helped so much. In fact, I have like one small thing to share. I had posted this reel of our new library opening, and somebody had commented, well, why isn't this for sixth grade and blah, blah, blah. So I did your, hey, that's a great question. And I answered her back. She responded again. So I was telling my headmaster, and my headmaster was like, you really should just leave it. Like, you don't need to answer this again, like just move on. And I was like, well, that course I took, that's not what she said to do. My headmaster was like, all right, well, if that's what if that's what the training said, then that's what you need to do.
So did she finally calm down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it took 2 interactions, and I answered her questions, and but I really do appreciate. I mean, I learned so much from your course. I used to just face those kinds of comments with a lot of fear and anxiety. And now it's just not. It's just, hey, that's a great question. I answer it if I can. And if not, hey, let's have a phone call, or here's who you need to contact. So I'm so grateful for the content that you put out there, and the work you've poured out to people like me. So thank you.
Well, we've learned a lot in the almost 9 years that we've been in business, and we try to share that. The spot that I do share that in now, you guys, is the membership group. Where actually, as you're listening to this today, we have started covering some of those foundational basics that we covered in, it was called Social Media Boot Camp. And so that's what we do. We do that kind of foundational training and support right inside of that membership group. So if you're interested, check it out. I'll link that in the show notes. And for a very affordable fee, up to 3 people from your school can be a part of that and can get some of that great training and support, because we're in a K-12 type school situation, right, Donna? It's so much different than businesses and
Oh
big
yeah,
towns and things
absolutely.
like that. So that is really what we teach in there. But I'm really proud, Donna, that you put in the work to make some great efforts with your school and the storytelling there. So keep it up.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, we will
All right.
see you next time with another great guest. We'll see you next Monday. We'll have another live episode. Until then, be consistent and keep telling those stories, even if the picture is not perfect, right?
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys next time.